Welcome to the Create with Katrina Julia show by Fit Life Creation, where we talk all the things on wellness, faith, marketing, business, and travel to create a life and business you love. I've been there, friend. I've walked from fear to faith, self-hate to love, corporate to calling, and bondage to freedom, along with transformation in every area of my life. I'm right here with you, walking along on my own path to creating. So tune in so that you learn how to create a life and business you love, hands-on. Let's create it. The Create It Online Summit is open now for a free preview. Here's to CEOs who crave creating community and cash. You will love this free preview where I give you sneak peeks into workshops, behind the scenes, tips, tools, and tech with faith, wellness, marketing, business, travel, and communities for a true binge-worthy experience to create it like a boss. Click the link in bio to register now. Thank you to a beautiful review from the Sick Her, TheSikher from Great Britain. Loved the May recap episode, 5 stars. I loved how authentic and inspiring this particular episode is. I loved hearing about your life and found the recap motivating and inspiring. As entrepreneurs, we all wonder what others do and how they do it. This was a lovely peek into your world. Thank you, thank you, thank you for leaving this beautiful review. And it is by no accident that you left the review to literally align with the timing on my completing the Creator Confessions of June Juiciness and Junk and more, which is what this episode is about. So if this is your first time tuning in to the show, monthly, I started in 2023 doing a series on the newsletter. So definitely subscribe if you didn't yet via the link in bio. It's at the bottom of all the links. I started doing one of the newsletters, or one of the e-blasts that I do once a month, is the Creative Creations, and it is the Creator Confessions, where I go in deeper into more of a personal insight with faith, with wellness, with wealth, with marketing, with business, travel, and community. And I share real talk so that you know you are not alone, because I know along my journey when I have found episodes like this or videos like this of vulnerability and authenticity, that it has radically helped me in so many ways. So I am feeling like July is really starting off juicy. And I feel like June had both junk and juiciness. And it was almost like a setup for what is happening in July. And it is July 4th at literally 3:25 a.m. I tried to go to sleep and couldn't. And after about an hour or two of laying there, and after I had finished listening to Ed Milet and Jamie Kern-Lima's episode on the podcast and his YouTube channel, I highly recommend you go listen. It's all about her new book, Worthy. And I literally, side note, this is off topic, but I literally teared up. Like, that, it's over an hour. It's such an amazing episode. I love both Ed and Jamie and all the service that they do in the world. And in an upcoming episode, I'm going to talk about his book, Power of One More. I listened already twice this year, and Jamie's Believe It. And in any event, one specific point on the episode really teared me up when Jamie asked, how do you view rejection? And what's the first thing that comes to mind? Like, what do you say to yourself, or what do you say about yourself? And I was putting some stuff up in the cupboard and or in the dresser. I was organizing some things coming up for travels coming up. And literally what came to mind for me was I am worthless. And I teared up with so much emotion. And it goes back to a clear memory when I was 12, but also a lot of healing that I've done. And one of the affirmations I keep repeating is I am worthy as I am. And also from Jamie's previous book, she talks a lot about how rejection is divine protection, or is God's protection. And so all that's been swirling in my mind and my soul and my spirit. But when she asked that pivotal question, and immediately came to mind was that I'm worthless. And I had I teared up, you guys, for several minutes, and felt so much, and recognizing and realizing where that is such a lie. And so then, as I finished listening to that episode, and then listened to an RC Blake's episode on being a soft boss, aka being a queen in her femininity while still being a boss. After about an hour of laying there, I said, you know what? To myself, I said, I'm going to stop fighting that clearly I am wired and awake, and I'm going to knock out a whole bunch of stuff. So here I am at 3:30 a.m. East Coast time. And already after that, I listened to a presentation on from Carta on Investor and Series A, completed my key performance indicators and scorecard from June, and then set it up for July. I wrote this email that I am going to do a voiceover with you guys that I just mentioned. I completed the snapshot email and scheduled that out for Thursday and Friday. This email and the snapshot email are scheduled out for Thursday and Friday. So if you jump on the email list, you can still get it. And/or I also share an excerpt of it always on my Instagram too. I completed several blog posts via ChatGPT on all the single ladies, on what was the other one I did? All the single ladies, femininity and masculinity and being a queen, on holy hormones. I uploaded a excerpt video on YouTube and on the show from the Fit and Faith show that I was on with Tamara Andres. And I am now here recording a whole bunch of episodes on the show. And one of the big things that I am shifting in July massively is how I'm spending days, as well as batching and being even more mindful on time batching. So if you listen to my previous episode, I think it was in May, on time batching, you'll definitely get a lot on what I learned there and what insights I had. And this is something I regularly do and review, but it had been some time since I had done it. And then from practicing and applying, and then more revelations and divine downloads, I have even more juicy stuff to share with you that likely will radically help you massively, because the results I'm seeing in the last couple days is crazy, you guys, like crazy, crazy, crazy. So before I dive into the confession, since I'm on the topic, just to give you like some ideas of what you're going to hear coming up in that time batching episode. And I'm definitely going to dive in a lot more on that one. And that one's going to be after a couple episodes, because I'm covering confessions now. Then I am going to cover all the single ladies Then I am going to cover the queen slash femininity and masculinity episode, then the time batching, then no is a whole sentence, and then silence may be the most powerful thing ever, and then books you want to read or listen to in 2023 and how and what's impacting my life. So, for example, I started adjusting my time batching like through revelations and through reflecting on June, through reflecting on different epiphanies, results, tech, tools, all the things. And I often pray for supernatural strategies. And so I love and when I get to see prayers answered so rapidly and radically. So a couple of things came to me as June was ending and I was reflecting on June and traction and results and movement in different areas of life and in the business and in media and in income. So some time blocking adjustments I made. And so again, this I'll cover more in the upcoming episode, but then also if you listen to the past episode after this, you'll get even more revelation on where I was in case that's where you are and then where I'm headed, but this may help you leap over steps that I took. So, and save you a lot of time. So, one is strategy and launch. And this isn't necessarily by day. This depends on how much time it takes. Because one of the things I learned from The Power of One More, Ed Milet's book, is to slice and dice your days into 3 days. Meaning, instead of approaching a day like simply 24 hours and I'm going to do these 3 things. No, like I'm going to slice the first part of my day and do these 3 things, and then the second part and do these 3 things, and then these three. And it's not always business related. It can be personal, it can be business, it can be familial, whatever the case may be, right? Whatever your focus is now, and whatever season of life you may be in, and what vision and mission and purpose you're pursuing at this point, right? And whatever your life or lifestyle looks like. So, back to the time blocking adjustments. So, if you've tuned into my episodes in the past, you know I practice a Sacred 7 morning and Sacred 7 night routine. And you can listen all about that in detail. I think it was either in May or April where I dove deep into that. So, that and then that includes also I did an episode on 7 steps to success: spiritual, mental, emotional, relational, playful, physical, and financial, and how I make sure I'm reaching aligned action in all those areas of life just at a glance. And again, the other episode dives deeper. But beyond that, back to the time batching just at a glance before I dive into the confessions. Because this is part of it. Like this, through the insights and downloads of June, through completing my passion planner exercise, and through assessing and auditing like what's happening, this all, came in alignment. So is one, strategy and launch. So at a glance on Saturday, I radically aligned the Create It Summit and scheduled emails out for the launch. Then aligned blogs and shows to that for the summit. Then the other thing was design. So Sunday into yesterday, Monday, I completed some things for the meetup. I completed some things for next door and other listings that were on, and outlined what's coming up next for events. Scheduled an email for Atlanta co-working poolside that's going to go out Wednesday. So if you are in the Atlanta area and you want to check out some of the events, definitely check out the link in bio, and or via my Instagram at Katrina Julia Fit. It's also in the link in bio, and you can find all the deets there. Like a full day of from 11 to 7 of wellness, strategy, content creation, an online experience after the event, and much, much more. So imagine you co-working, poolside, content creating, etc. So design is events and web items. So that was, setting up things on the meetup. That was the next door. That was updating the co-working event. Then the third component of time blocking that I've adjusted biz-wise is writing. So that incorporates AI, that incorporates blogs, chat GPT, emails, books, social media. So that was today. I did a ton of that and went to go work at Chattahoochee River. Amazing, amazing coffee shop there. Then it's B2B, which is business to business and partnerships. So that can include business development, that can include investors, like I did this morning, influencer marketing campaigns, etc. Then the other component, which I was getting ready to write, is speaking. So speaking can be, of course, videos. It can be at events. It can be shows. So it can be live, aka live, at for clients, for companies, at an event like the co-working event, videos and shows like what I'm doing now. And so I've been challenging myself to really be even more intentional about the actions that I'm taking and when I'm taking them and how it's impacting my energy. And then another aspect of time blocking is community, which means meetings, workshops, events, when they happen, updates online in the community. So that's typically between 2 to 5. And then last but definitely not least is scaling and growing. Scaling, which is like scaling and finding tech tools, with VAs, growth, which is learning new things like what I just learned with the investor with Carta. It's also clearing. Another key component is also, so I'm just typing growth and clearing. So making sure I'm clearing my email, I'm clearing my time, etc. So clearing my phone, like that's on my list this week to do. Okay. So you can see where in the last couple days and then today, what I shared, like what's happening today. So, how do you feel about June and 2023 so far? So, a lot of June, I felt both junk and juiciness. Is that even a word? I think it is. At times, I felt like I was weeding or wallowing in the junk or like wallowing in the mud. But then I also felt like a lot of it was necessary for increasing self worth, increasing healing, increasing aligned action. At the same time, I continued to flow with launches with AI and Chat GPT and IO, the intelligent outreach tools that I'm now using, like Apollo. I increased weekly business to business proposals to 2 million plus and got some really positive responses. So increase in pipeline, increase in conversions, not increase in cash yet, and increased alignment to the right decision makers. I felt like I took more time to pray and heal with being and feeling worthy as I am. And then you could also hear in the beginning of this episode how I talked about how, the transformation is required to create a life and business you love, and how that came up even today when I was listening to Ed Milet and Jamie. I definitely felt some emotional roller coasters with self worth and shifts in healing and EFT, and more on that in an upcoming episode and blog on EFT, on therapy, EFT, EMDR, etc. So I'll definitely be sharing that coming up because I get a lot of questions on that, and how different aspects, because there's so many different healing modalities, and it's all about discovering what works for you and also being open and being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I felt like at the same time, I felt like discipline increased in June compared to May with alignment, self love, and care, including workouts at the Y and showing up and serving regardless. And I'm definitely feeling a rapid rise in discipline in July because it's been a long time since I've literally just been up and didn't even go to sleep. So yes. So after I get done with these batch recordings, I will make some time to talk to family. So in between all the things, right? So, uh, oh, and if you didn't know, my phrase for this year is I am divinely disciplined. And it's definitely brought up a lot of things with alignment, with worthiness, challenging time, etc. In June, I really felt like it was definitely cleared clutter in June. So spiritually, I increased prayers and attended Lifeway Summit online. I signed up for the Pray and Profit Summit with Epic Fab Girl, and I stepped back from two communities to increase space for my own healing and time and actions, which you've heard me talk about a couple times if you've been tuning into the show, that has also been a very weird but welcoming trend for me, because usually I would take on a lot of different serving things, and then I've increasingly realized where when things aren't aligned or making more space for myself and for different reasons, and being and doing it boldly and unapologetically. Physically, I reached 12,000 plus minutes of workouts in June. So this is to date. This is 2023 to date of workouts. I increased in-person gym workouts at the Y, including weights and Zumba. And how do I know it's 12,000 plus minutes? Because I track it on the Peloton Challenge on the app. And you can find all my tips, tools, and tech, over 75 of them, via the link in bio, via the link on my Instagram, and or the bit.ly/ create it like a boss in the show notes. I maintain daily aligned action with Herbalife and food, and I increased sauna time at Perspire Sauna too. Financially, I did increase discipline in June, including expenses, while increasing impact and influence in income in spite of the junk. So I did receive more cash in June. At the same time, it is not yet where I would love it to be, and or to where I would feel and be stable and vital and flowing and coverage. At the same time, it showed me even more insights and revelations to where there are gaps between self-confidence and self-worth, going back to what I talked about earlier. So when things are misaligned, I've learned more and more to really dig deep and see like what is happening within, and what am I manifesting from the inside out, and where am I not potentially having faith, or where are my thoughts off, and so many other things, especially like from God's word, and just being faith filled, and like where is there a disconnect. So as a result, our total traction in business to business increased in the pipeline, and I mentioned that earlier. The blogs and emails increased. Shows decreased in June to about 3. So it's figuring out the flow of the alignment and the launches, and social media also stayed about the same like in May. I did end the month with scheduling over 25 plus posts in Dottie and Social Curators, aka my AI social media manager. I mentioned how at the tail end of June, I set up the Create It Summit free preview, which you can still dive into, that you heard about the beginning of this episode, and the launch items via emails, shows, and social. I completed an investor accelerator application via Visible Hands for $200,000. I won't know more until about September-ish, I believe, as far as if I'm a finalist or if I, receive it. I completed an investor application for 43 North for $1 million opportunity with Buffalo, New York. I talked about that on the previous show on taking leaps of faith. I won't know more, I think, until later in July. I set up Meetup, Nextdoor, Reddit for creative virtual and live events. And I applied for Survivor casting via paid travel opportunities via Gabby at Paxilite. If you haven't listened to my episode in the past about NBC Apprentice, you definitely want to tune into that. I filmed over 3+ videos, 3+ shows, 7+ Instagram reels. That's not all, because it's all about being a human being. So, mentally to playfully, I increased feeding my soul with prayer, journaling, EFT, emotional freedom technique, nature, and sauna time. I connected with friends twice, including live music, visited my fave coffee shop at Chattahoochee River in Atlanta, and explored Roswell and the waterfall at the Mill. I was surrounded by adorable puppies all month, Tucker and Cooper, who I just woke up. They came upstairs and went on a lot of walks and continue to, because they get walks several times a day. I immersed myself in learning with communities, including Epic Fab Girl, social curators, and I did experience some downtime at the end of the month. And I will be featuring a blog and show on It's Getting Hot in Here, or Holy Hormones, and the ultimate guide to fluctuating hormones or perimenopause, for all my ladies that are tuning in, because I have definitely experienced some doozies the past couple years, a couple times, and have investigated and researched a ton. And it's just really unfortunate that at least I don't feel like our healthcare and our doctors and our gynecologists really even share or educate any of that beyond, ooh, let's get our, typical or regular pap, and oh, let's get, this or that. But what about telling us or sharing with us, what's going to potentially or can happen to hormones, and how to counter that with, vitamin B12 or vitamin D or primrose oil, that there's so many other natural ways to do it beyond hormone replacement therapy, which I did and have considered, but am currently not on hormone replacement therapy. I found some other alternatives. And keep in mind, I am someone that does not drink for 7+ years, and I'm super healthy and works out. So when I feel a fluctuation in my energy, it is a big thing for me. Okay. So, in any event, that is June juiciness and junk, along with some sprinkles of what is happening in July and shifts. And there's going to be even more coming up, because within June, I was also exploring literally different possibilities for Herbalife Nutrition Extravaganza, and then different possibilities for film residencies via Selena Hotel, and projects there, Wi-Fi Tribe, projects via Travel Matador. And in short, I will be traveling again in August and likely into September and October. I also have been praying and marinating that winter is not a vibe for me in any way, shape, or form. I do not like the gray, and I definitely felt how it impacted me the end of the year in Atlanta. Although I love Atlanta, I am not here for the gray, the cold, the rain, all the things. So I decided, depending on what happens as I shift potentially back into the US in October, November ish, that likely I will spend November, December, January in Miami or somewhere in Florida via Hello Landing, or potential projects that I've submitted, whether it's Selena Hotel or others as well. Because I love the beach, I love the ocean, and I am here to create it, a life and business I love, to create it like a boss, and to live like a limitless global girl. And this is definitely making me uncomfortable, because I'm not gonna lie, it moving back to Atlanta last May, there was this sort of like, yes, I love traveling full time, but then there was this sort of like revelation, or I don't even want to call it a revelation. It was almost like a of, ooh, yay, now I have the known again versus the unknown. But then I realized that is not fully my happy place. I am not it's like I'm not a 9 to 5er slash stay in one place. I'm not a nomad, but I love the freedom of being a nomad. But then I also want the freedom of not being locked into a year-long lease, which is why Hello Landing is also appealing. And then I started questioning, well, do I have to stay in Atlanta in the winter? No, I can come back in March or April or May of 2024. So, in any event, there is some things on Creator Confessions and my AKA crazy hashtag life and limitless global girl life. Oh, and then I wanted to share a quote that Jamie Kernlima mentioned in the episode with Ed that I loved. And I'm going to share this on my Instagram too. And I want to tell you this too. You're not crazy. You're just first. And that was such a like, for me, because I know many people, especially my family, think I'm crazy. And you may feel like that too. So this is me telling you, you're not crazy. You're just first. You're the first to take leaps. You're the first to break generational curses. You're the first to live, life in this crazy digital slash crazy amazing digital nomadic freedom filled limitless possibilities world. And it is with that that I say to you, create, transform, and inspire. You are born to. All the free chats on faith, wellness, money, marketing, business, and travel so you create a life and business haven't already. Head on over to the blog, the podcast, and the freebies to jumpstart your transformation. If you're ready to dive into the online courses, the live events, or the retreat, and if you want to create with our community on an even deeper level, definitely check out our internships, our influencer collaborations, management, and brand engagement. Let's create it.